What is up, everyone? My name is James. Welcome to Rising Potential, also known as Jacob Rising on YouTube. So today I'm doing something completely new on Rising Potential. As you all know, I wanted to follow Deus Ex, Human Revolution, or just the Deus Ex world in general, because the new franchises or like the new universe is coming out eventually on next generation consoles, and just this whole saga of new Deus Ex games. And I wanted to follow the forum. In the description is the Deus Ex forum. And every so often I'll be taking topics that are discussed in the forum, and I'll be making videos out of them with Deus Ex Human Revolution gameplay as a backdrop. So today's topic, or today's discussion, is about what would you like to see in the new Deus Ex game. If you didn't know, Deus Ex Universe was announced, which is, like I said, it's not like a trilogy, it's just a collection of new games, whether it be on Android, iPhone, mobile devices, tablets, or actual game consoles or PCs and stuff like that. So I will post my profile, the augmented box, in the description so you can check me out. And I will be naming certain people from this forum discussion, and I'll put the actual text on the screen so you can see exactly what they said. So the first comment comes from a guy called Smoke43, and he says, "We all know that a new game of Deus Ex franchise is coming. What things you would like that Deus Ex Human Revolution did not have in a sequel or a future game? I personally want a third view option similar to the recent Fallout games, and some melee weapons because Deus Ex Human Revolution did not have any. I wonder why." Do I think Deus Ex would be good in a third-person shooter? Or like a third-person view. Since I'm really basing it off Human Revolution, I mean, they did do third-person, but I feel like what Human Revolution did really well is that they balanced third-person and first-person perfectly. You would attack in first-person, but you would move around every so often in third-person, and I really liked that. I thought that was a great balance. Could you do it like reverse? Or like, could you actually attack in third person? Personally, for me, I wouldn't like that. I would personally like it if they kept it how it was in Human Revolution, because I thought that worked really well. But if they can make it work, I guess have an option to do it. But melee weapons, I think, would be a great option, because we don't really, we didn't have any melee weapons in Deus Ex HR. So the next comment comes from Cud13, or however you say that. Pretty much better physics, proper melee. Not a long-driven storyline. Get back to conspiracies, please. Emphasize on openness and approaches. Don't shoehorn players into a play-style Viva experience system. More hubs, more side quests. Preferably give us some that require travel to multiple locations, not just one that's solved in a single hub. Okay, he brings up a lot of good points. Better physics, yeah, there were a few little weird things. Like if you watch my playthrough, I can like jump off a building and land on a box and I'll be fine. That shouldn't happen, but it is a funny little glitch though. A few things that I wanted in Deus Ex HR that actually are in there, which he kind of mentions, and like he says different approaches to openness or just different things. Deus Ex always had great backgrounds. Like they would show you awesome skyboxes, but you could never go there. It was always in the background. If we could actually go to some of those epic locations, then that would be awesome. Deus Ex HR was very it was very on the ground all the time. You were always walking or running. You were never really in the sky. Farida would travel you via her little falcon or like her jet, but you never actually got to see like what it is up there. So maybe you have like vehicle stuff, like maybe you're riding a motorcycle and you're chasing somebody, like chase scenes. That would be really cool. So in the next Deus Ex, if they could do like chase scenes or just more than just walking, I think that would be pretty sweet. I don't think third person would be a good idea, but more side missions, yeah, and I do agree. Go to different locations, like back and forth. Like if you played Metroid Prime 2, how you can travel between planets for side missions. Maybe not that open, because that was a bit overwhelming. Deus Ex Human Revolution was like a small version of Fallout. Fallout is this humongous big open world, and Deus Ex did do that, but you can only travel to locations one at a time. You can't go back and forth, or you technically can, but the missions are completely different by then. So you know, maybe a little bit bigger than what Human Revolution was, but not as big as Fallout, unless you can do it right, and if you have that much time to actually make a game like Fallout. Erica Levy says, more color palettes, different moods, different locales. For me, a lot of Deus Ex Human Revolution, while pretty, felt similar. Erica Lee pretty much summarizes that he wants to have different color palettes, different moods in the entire game. Not just have like a single color palette, like in Deus Ex Human Revolution, it was all yellow. But he does mention a good thing, how Eidos is kind of like they're trying to to make each game its own little thing. So Deus Ex Human Revolution was very yellow, while like the first Deus Ex was very blue. Acrorio1 says Deus Ex Human Revolution was great, but I really would like to see more unique and dynamic NPCs, the AI, increase AI intelligence, and more diverse news reports. Yes, news reports were pretty cool. I liked how you knew what was going on in the world, but you know, there would be several times throughout the game where you would pick up a newspaper and it would be the same thing that you played like an hour ago. This will add up to more immersive experience. This should always be the first priority for a Deus Ex game. Make sure immersion is at center. I thought Deus Ex Human Revolution did a great job with immersion, but I do agree that more of that would probably be beneficial. When it comes to better AI, I would really like to see boss fights that are intelligent. I agree. Barrett's a fucking idiot when you fight him. The second boss, I can't pronounce her name. She's creepy as hell. Yeah, I mean, the AI for the bosses weren't the best, so I do agree on that. I think we're all tired of the same old concept, making the boss nearly invulnerable to deadly weapons. Please make the boss realistic, make the boss harder in a different way, in an intelligent way. Noraja says, I love Human Revolution and feel they got a lot more things right than what they did wrong, but there are some things I'd like to see in the new game. Better story arcs for the enemy boss. The bosses that we had in HR lacked the real motive beyond more mercs. Take Gunther from the original Deus Ex as an example of well-developed character that had a purpose. More diverse augmentation options and ways to use them. This is definitely something that the original Deus Ex and even Invisible War to some extent got right over Human Revolution. The ability to create a playstyle based upon the AUGs that was varied. In HR, although the AUGs were cool, by the end of the game pretty much everyone who played it had the same character built. That is very true. This somewhat spoiled the RPG element of the game as you railroad through upgrading to a Homo Siege template character based upon the AUGs are needed at a specific time. I like the ability in the previous games to choose one AUG over the other with pros and cons for each. More open world elements. See the very first level of the original Deus Ex for a good example. You're dropped into an island and given the objective, then left to figure it out. You don't have to make a huge sandbox game like Far Cry 3 or even Fallout, but some more open world elements would be nice. The city hubs in HR were good, but could have been implemented a lot better. Consequences. It would be cool to see how your character progression through the game affects the world around you, how people react to you, and how it influences the outcome of the story. The endings of HR were amazing. I disagree. And thought-provoking by choosing and pressing a button was such a cheap mechanic. Yeah, that is kind of true. So overall, from what I've read so far, it seems like people definitely want some melee weapons for the next Deus Ex game, more immersion, and just overall more options and more customization and more side missions. So this was the first part of my forum discussion. Stay tuned for more on Rising Potential, and thank you for watching. And I'll once again link in the description to the forum of what you want to see in the new Deus Ex game. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for some more videos Deus Ex related and machinima on Rising Potential. See ya.